everybody. It is a Wednesday. That means only one thing. It's a hump day. It's time now for Supernatural News and Parashare on Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Tim Dennis, and we need a co-hostess. I know I've been telling you to write in for your co-hostess introduction contest. I don't think we had one this week. So I have to make up the introduction this week. So I can't mention Pearls of the Paranormal. I can't mention anything that would make you think of a Wild West Lady of the Night.
Or.
Wow! Wow! I thought I had lowered your mic. So I'll just say, ladies and gentlemen, she hails from the Midwest. She knows her way not only around fashion in the kitchen, but she also knows her way around a K2 meter and a REM pod. She knows her way around the living and the dead. Ladies and gentlemen, she's here to dazzle you with the funny and also dazzle you with her knowledge of the paranormal. Here she is, Miss Mallie Fox. Mallie, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm glad you continued that instead of saying she just knows her way around, because then that doesn't make me sound good either.
Oh. See, I tried my best there, and you still were trying to just tweak it just a little bit. She knows her way around See,
around town,
around the finest establishments at charge hourly rates. Yeah. See, I didn't go to that extent. No,
I know.
Right.
I know.
So if you have an introduction for either Mallie or Jessica, you can hit me up, tim@darknessradio.com. Send it in. The contest is still open. You can do better than Tim, I'm sure. You send in your intros.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Get those in right away.
Yes, please.
Wow.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're not. No. But we get the idea.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, someday I'll get good. I'll get good at these intros. I swear, I will. Mm-hmm. I just, half the fun is making them up off the top of your head.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll.
You've just had since 2009.
Yeah. to come up with a good one. Yeah. I'll get there. I just need another 15 years or so.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah.
But then I'll be in a walker, but sure.
Then you're going to be like, now you make me sound like an old whore.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Oldie but a goodie.
Oldie but a goodie. Here she is, rolling down that aisle.
Yeah. I'll be like, what?
Huh?
Huh?
What?
I'll be sleeping. You're like, Mallie. Huh?
Wake up.
I want my Jello.
Jello.
Jello, is it snack time yet?
Here she is with your favorite Jello recipe, ladies and gentlemen.
I like orange with mandarin oranges.
No
whipped cream.
No carrots this time. Nobody eats shredded carrots in their lime Jello anymore.
And what's with these circus peanuts?
Oh, I love circus peanuts. Don't forget the tea. You don't like them?
No, especially in Jello. People are weird with putting stuff in Jello.
Jello?
Have you ever seen those weird recipes where they put weird stuff in Jello and one of them is circus peanuts?
Who does that?
I'm telling you, it's in those old Jello recipes.
What year?
Seriously.
What year did they do that? 1950?
I think it's like the 50s or the 60s. It's that. And then there was one where it was like a lime Jello with cottage cheese and pineapple or something.
I've had that, actually, yes.
Yeah. I've had it too. That doesn't bother me so much. But it's like circus peanuts is in one of them. I think it's an orange Jello because everything was orange.
Oh my God. Yeah. I might have to try that now.
I think I've got like an old Betty Crocker cookbook that I got at like a garage sale because the pictures were so weird looking because it was like that 1960s, 70s colors that they used for the photos. Yeah. And it was just like these odd ingredients, contraption things that they created. And I was like, oh, this would be kind of fun to make. I wouldn't eat them because I have a really bad gag reflex.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't do very well with them. But yeah, I've seen the Jello with the circus peanuts.
Weird. Oh,
yeah.
Do the peanuts float or do they sink to the bottom of the bowl?
I think it floats in the middle, doesn't it? I don't know. Google it.
Google it.
Google it.
Google it. Hell,
Use your AI and Google it.
Hell, I'm gonna make it.
Do it. You know what we should do? We should like find funky Jello recipes, and you should make one, and I should make one, and we'll send each other pictures, and then next week we'll we'll let each other know how bad it was, or if it was good. We'll send each other pictures, and we'll post it online. We'll post it on the site and be like, "This is what we made."
I think I might make it for my dad for Father's Day.
There you go.
Dad, I didn't get you a gift, but I got you a circus peanut Jello.
Wrap it up and see if it leaks. Like in Christmas Vacation.
Yeah. Ooh, I put it in a box for you.
Yep.
It's my peanut in a box.
But I think, there's some recipe with it.
Ew.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll appreciate that.
It's made with love.
Ew. That didn't sound right either. Ick. By the way, folks, speaking of things that are actually somewhat edible and are actually good for you, our palate cleanser today, I'm going to introduce you to a prodigy who knows how to cook much better than I do. Probably not better than Mallie, but well, I won't speak for you, Mal, but
I don't do well with how this kid does it.
Really? Ooh, all right. Well, I'm going to introduce you to, we'll just say Chef Aiden.
Yes.
He's our palate cleanser today. I'll let you know more about him at the end of the program, but a prodigy nonetheless. Just a little teaser for the end of the program.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, do we have a lot of stuff to talk about today, Mallie. We should probably jump into it. Yep. We've got lots of stuff. I'll just tease you a little bit about what's coming up in the program today. We'll be talking about a new Rendlesham UFO documentary that's going to premiere at a UFO festival. NASA's spotting a strange towering shape breaking through Mars's atmosphere. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the fact that humans could live forever by the year 2050 thanks to android bodies and AI minds. That'll be a quaint little discussion.
I'm good.
You're good. The Holy Grail may have been found.
Ooh.
We'll talk about that. That's coming up later today. A woman wakes up inside her own coffin after a coroner had declared her dead.
Ooh.
Yeah, we'll bring that up a little bit later today as well. And if carnivorous plants are out there and love meat, how come they've never ate a human? It's a question we'll ask today as well.
Mm.
You're kind of like,
Well, no, I was thinking of Seymour.
Yeah, right. Little Shop of Horrors.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How come if we have carnivorous plants out there, how come we've not had one big enough to eat a human?
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that today. Just for a brief moment. We won't take much time, but we'll ponder that a little bit today. Oh boy! But first, Mallie, let's get the ugly business out of the way and talk about a friend of ours who's had a bad week.
Our friend's who's not ugly, because you said let's get the ugliness out of the way.
No, so let's get the ugly business out of the way and talk about a friend of ours who's had a bad week. Let's separate the words there.
Not our ugly friend.
No. Don't cross those streams. Ghost Adventure star Aaron Goodwin appeared in court and at the sentencing of his now ex-wife, or soon-to-be ex-wife.
Yes.
And made some dramatic revelations as he gave his statement at her sentencing. And said, we only know half the story when it comes to this entire thing, as we probably only should. If we did know all the story, right. I think, first of all, I think we'd all be pretty reviled by the whole thing. But Aaron Goodwin revealed that the public only knows half the story about his wife's sick murder-for-hire plot against him. Last Thursday, a Nevada judge sentenced 32-year-old Victoria Goodwin to between 3 and 7.5 years in prison after she pleaded guilty to conspiring to have her husband killed while he was away on a filming trip in California. Victoria hatched the plan after the couple began suffering marital problems and she started sleeping with other people. Yes, that's plural. That's one of the things that came up.
Yep.
At the sentencing hearing. Following the court proceedings, the 49-year-old reality star spoke out in an exclusive interview with 8 News Now investigators, revealing that the public only knows a fraction of the story. Aaron told the outlet after court, "I feel terrible. All of this is such a mess. I haven't seen her since she dropped me off at the airport," he added. "So that was the first time I've even looked at her. It's tough." Can you imagine that, Mallie? That was the first time he saw her, was at the sentencing hearing.
I know.
No wonder he was distraught.
Mm-hmm.
That's just half the story, Aaron said. Wait till you hear the rest of it. The television star did not immediately respond to the Daily Mail for comment, which is where I'm pulling this story from. Aaron's dramatic revelation came moments after he broke down in court, tearfully recounting the heartbreak of discovering the love of his life had not only betrayed him with several affairs, but conspired with a prisoner to have him killed. Court documents revealed that Victoria contacted Florida inmate Grant Amato, who was serving a life sentence for murdering his parents and brother, and offered him $11,500 to carry out the hit and put $2,500 down payment on that hit. So that had already been made to Amato at the time that they sought Aaron out to make the hit.
Mm-hmm.
For 7 years, I thought I was in the most loving relationship of marriage with my best friend, someone who I trusted with my whole heart and laughed with every day, Aaron said in court. Victoria, on the other hand, delivered an emotional apology in court to both her parents and estranged husband, which, sidebar here, I don't believe a word of.
Nope.
Telling him she would always love him and vowing he would never be in danger of her again, which, again, I don't believe a word of.
Nope.
I genuinely pray you find your joy and peace again, she went on to tell him, and I will bow out of your life forever to hopefully ease that process, Victoria said, before the judge handed down her sentence, as reported by 8 News Now. She went on to say, quote, "I'm sorry I broke us, and I'm consumed with regret every day," she added. "My absolute promise to you is that you will never see or hear from me. I intended to leave the state of Nevada, and you and anyone else will never be in danger from me or of me ever again." The only reason she intended to leave the state of Nevada was to hook up with another guy.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that he was ever in any danger. And the only reason she was crying in court is because she felt sorry for herself.
Yes.
Let's not get anything twisted here, right?
Mm-hmm. I wonder if I was him, I would look into if there's any way to remove the name Goodwin from her legally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because she does not deserve that name.
You're right. You're right.
She does not deserve it. And I know you didn't mention it, but when I watched him in front of the judge, he also mentioned not only that she had several affairs, but also there was blackmail involved as well. And she had emptied out their savings because she had to pay off the blackmail. But I don't know who was blackmailing her, but someone found out what was going on and had blackmailed her. And she needed to pay that off.
Right. There's more to the story here.
I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
No. There's more that I haven't read yet.
Jumping the gun.
That's all right. Let me get to the parts I haven't read here yet. I was going to skip over some of the stuff that we talked about before. Of course, the murder plot was set to unfold October of 2024 when Aaron was in California filming. Prison authorities seized Grant Amato's phone and discovered disturbing communications between him and Victoria at the time. Investigators revealed she had instructed him to make Aaron's death appear accidental, even proving detailed information about his travel plans and daily routines. Prosecutors cited chilling messages recovered from Amato's phone, in which one message from Amato to a hitman read, "He's asleep right now in his hotel room. I need to know what's going on. Can I get an update? Was it done?" In another message, Victoria wrote to Amato, "Am I a bad person because I chose to end his existence, not divorce?" When questioned by authorities, Victoria claimed she first learned about Amato through a true crime documentary and began corresponding with him. She described their relationship as pen pals and admitted that ongoing marital problems with Aaron had led her to connect with him. Aaron has revealed that he was completely blindsided about the murder-for-hire plot orchestrated by his own wife, only hearing the shocking truth when detectives informed him about her arrest, as was reported by the New York Post. On March 6th, Victoria was arrested in connection with solicitation to commit murder and murder conspiracy, according to booking information in Clark County. Following that arrest, of course, we know that Aaron filed for divorce. So that's the long and short of that. Now, Victoria eventually pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit murder. In a statement on March 12th, the Discovery Channel star said, "The views, tastes, likes, and dislikes of husband and wife have become incompatible to the extent that it has become impossible for them to live together as husband and wife in marital harmony. There's no possibility of reconciliation between husband and wife." When he was in court on Thursday, Aaron broke down in tears at his wife's sentencing. Failing to hold back tears, he said that he found out that his then wife was cheating on him with several men, and he gave her options for a path forward. This is the heartbreaking part. One option was divorce, and another was trying to work things out because he just loves her so much. This is the part I think Aaron doesn't realize, is his ex is a deranged psychopath. When she lured him in with a show. He fell in love with a show. She's not that person. He needs to stop. Just stop. He doesn't know the true her. He doesn't know Victoria. Victoria doesn't have any good intentions towards him. He should have never given her option B to reconcile. At that point, the healthiest thing he should have done is walk away. Cut all ties. Leave. Run. Because all she's going to do is set those hooks in tighter to get eventually what she wanted, which was probably him dead and his insurance money. There's no good intentions here, Mallie. It's all ill intentions. It doesn't end well for him. I know he thinks there was love here, but there was no love here. She's not capable of love. The TV star recounted how Victoria initially expressed regret, which again was fake. She can't. She's a psychopath. And begged not to lose him. He recalled, "She didn't want to lose me. She was so sorry for the pain she caused me. At least that's what she told me." Again, Aaron, it was an act. Now discovering she put a hit out to kill me more than once. Got blackmailed, like Mallie said.
I know, I heard that. No.
And spent almost all of our entire savings to keep it quiet, he added, speaking of the extent of her betrayal. I don't believe. I know you said that she said they got blackmailed. I don't believe it. I think it's a story.
Really?
Yep. I think she spent freely on other men and just said she got blackmailed. He also told the court that Victoria has even got spiritually married to Amato. In his emotional statement, Aaron said the experience has left him deeply scarred. "This has led me to fear for my life. I've hired armed security for weeks, not knowing if it was over or not," he said. "I cry every day, feel so low. She grew into a person I never was. I will always wonder why." You don't have to wonder, Aaron. She's evil. She's evil incarnate. That's your answer. She never was the person you thought she was. It was a show. That's your answer. Aaron accused his ex-wife of attempting to keep him from speaking at the sentencing, claiming he had only recently become aware of the murder plot. Now behind bars, she's trying to manipulate through lawyers and trying to silence me to not come here today, he said. He then addressed the judge directly, indicating that a prison sentence felt appropriate given the gravity of what happened. This person over here, I don't know at all, not one bit, Aaron said, as reported by U.S. Weekly. The fact that this person did all this to me with no worry, no care, or love in her heart for me, I will never feel the same. I will never feel safe or be the same, he added, noting how she is claiming to be remorseful now that she's been caught. Well, good for him. Mm-hmm. I thought whether she got minimum or maximum time, I still won't feel safe whenever she's released, he told the judge. I feel like this deserves prison time. I don't know. So I just leave it in your hands, Your Honor, and thank you. According to divorce documents obtained by Court TV, Aaron and Victoria married in May of 2020. They, of course, do not share any children. And thank God for that. Can you imagine if there were children involved in this? At least now there's a somewhat clean break, right?
Yeah, but he's such a sweet guy. He would do anything for anybody.
Yeah.
He doesn't deserve this.
I know
he's always going to be looking over his shoulder.
Yeah, I know his sense of security is shook. There will come a time, and keep in mind now, Aaron's got to go through some severe therapy to get through this. But there will come a time where he'll be able to look back on it and start to feel somewhat secure again and be able to trust again. But it's going to be a while, right? And he'll need the love of family and friends to be able to get through it and get himself back on the right track. But he'll get there eventually. But boy, the next person who comes into his life is going to have issues. They're going to have problems. And they're really going to have to be loving, supporting, and caring in order to get through them. Because Victoria really screwed him up. And she really got off easy.
Yeah.
They really should have buried her under the jail.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. All right. With that, let's move on. Unless you have something to add to that, Mal.
Nope.
Okay. All right.
You pretty much said what I was thinking.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll move on to interstellar news because we've got cake aliens back.
Okay.
The aliens in Peru that look like they're made of cake? Mm-hmm. Well, a surprise discovery was made in the womb of one of Peru's alleged alien mummies. You've got the hand of one of them right here. Mm-hmm. That's not the womb, by the way. It's a hand.
Yeah.
Figured
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, for those of you at home who are watching the video and go, well, that's not the womb. I know that. Figured I'd I'd justify between the two and let you know I know the difference between a hand and a womb. I had that much in anatomy class. The mummies, which remain surrounded in controversy, are continuing to yield intriguing discoveries. Whatever you might think about the mummies, which rose to prominence after controversial UFO researcher Jamie Masson presented two of them at a formal Congress hearing in Mexico City back in 2023. There's no denying the continued level of interest that seems to surround them. Supposedly found buried between the Peruvian cities of Palpa and Nazca in 2017, the bodies reportedly contained unknown DNA and were, as Masson put it, not from this earth. His claims went on to generate a great deal of controversy and debate, with experts slamming his discovery on the basis that the aliens were thought to be little more than human mummies. Others, meanwhile, claim that they might not even be real bodies at all. Now, further investigations on one of the mummies has revealed the discovery of a fetus within its womb. The find was made by, I believe this is Joyce Mantilla, a firm proponent of the notion that the mummies are real during an analysis of one particular specimen that has been named Montserrat. I observed the position of the hands as if she had wanted to protect her gestating belly, it was told to Mail Online, one hand above and one hand below the belly. So kind of like a protective gesture. The abdomen dried out, lost hydration, and became almost flat, but the hands remained in that position. One of the oldest things about the mummy is their strange three-fingered hands and anomalous internal organs, which indicate, according to Mantilla, extraterrestrial or reptilian ancestry. For now, the only clear anatomical similarity between the fetus and the mother is the tridactyl structure of the hands and feet. He added. As things stand right now, it remains unclear whether the mummies are genuine human remains or not. If they are, then this particular mummy would likely be that of a woman who died around 1,200 years ago while carrying a child. Exactly what caused her death, however, remains unclear. Now, we did have a story a while back that said that they had pulled DNA from these mummies and that the DNA wasn't exactly human, but it was inconclusive at that point as well. So, what they are exactly, we don't know, other than Bruiser at one point said it was made of cake. So I stand on that.
We're just going to go with that from now on.
We're going with cake. Yeah. It's made of cake. So if Bruiser says cake, I go with cake.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for someone to stick a candle in them and sing happy birthday. I don't know. Is that appropriate or not?
Probably not.
Probably not. Yeah. Well.
C'est la vie.
C'est la vie. Maybe we can sing C'est la vie by Robbie Dupree when we put the candle in. Do you remember that song? Boy, I'm showing my age now, aren't I?
Wasn't it in the 80s? Didn't that come out in the 80s?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not going to sing it, but yeah, look it up, kids. Google it, as Mallie says. Yeah. Google it. You'll find it. Our next story has to do with frequent sightings seen in an Arizona town hailed as the new Roswell. Let me ask you this, Mallie. Have you ever been to Sedona, Arizona?
No, I have not.
Our good friend Edith, God rest her soul, used to love Sedona, Arizona. Used to be.
I miss her.
I do miss her too. She used to go to Sedona quite a bit, and she used to talk about what a spiritual center it felt like, the different energies there. Although she never said she saw a UFO when she was there. Mm-hmm. Although she wouldn't tell me.
I've heard a lot of people claim, though, that Arizona is very spiritual.
Yeah. Just the different energies they say they feel when they go there. And colored lights, too.
Yep.
Yeah, much like seeing the northern lights. They say you see lights everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, my deal is, how much peyote have you had beforehand?
True.
When you see the lights, You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah. The small town of Sedona has become something of a hotspot for reports of unexplained phenomena in recent years. Something strange has been frequenting the skies above Arizona. At least that's the report, a recent report, which highlights the small desert town of Sedona as having recorded around 484 UFO sightings between 2000 and 2023, a figure well above the national average. Situated 180 miles from Phoenix with a population of 10,000, Sedona is not the first place you're likely to think of when it comes to UFO hotspots in the United States. Speaking to the Mail Online, UFO tour guide John Polk maintains that he has witnessed mysterious objects on a regular basis and believes that the area is home to a vortex or dimensional door. He also claims that UFOs appear and disappear due to the presence of ley lines in the area. Polk went on to say, "You'd see stuff whether I was here or not." What does he have to do with anything? He said, what, is he like the dimensional doorman? Is he like, come on in, UFOs?
Someone has an ego.
Yes, right? He says, but when I am there, you see a lot more because I know how to work the energy out there. Boy, look at him.
I know. La-di-da.
Master John Polk, energy worker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, I could get energy going.
Yeah, look at me.
Look at me.
I'm like a energy pump worker.
Yeah,
like a
fancy pants.
Like a gas pump worker at a gas station. Look at me. Some have come to liken Sedona to Roswell, New Mexico, the site of the famous 1947 UFO crash. There have even been reports of an extraterrestrial base in the town's surrounding hillsides. As things stand, however, there's no conclusive evidence of such a facility that has been forthcoming. Now, see, I'm probably going to get a call from John Polk now. Oh, yeah? Why don't you come on out and see? Yeah, I'll show you UFOs. I'll show you my energy work.
Yeah. Why don't you use your energy to make me come?
Yeah. Why don't you use your energy and fly me out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I somehow don't think that he's going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. I don't see that happening. Sorry, John Polk. I say it as one word, John Polk. Our next story has to do with a strange towering shape that NASA found breaking through Mars's atmosphere. A newly released NASA image captures a mysterious peak piercing through Mars's morning clouds. And actually, I'll show you a little picture of it, Mallie. It looks like a giant pimple popping through Mars.
Yeah, it does.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mars is now a teenager. It's got a big pussy head on it.
It's hormonal.
I said pussy. It's hormonal. It's a PG show, you know. A new image from NASA's Mars Odyssey orbiter reveals an extraordinary sight, a massive formation breaking through Mars's early morning cloud cover, taken just before dawn on May 2nd of 2025 and released by NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory on June 6th. The photograph offers an unprecedented view of the Martian horizon. It's the first time a feature of this scale has been seen from orbit rising above the clouds, offering a perspective normally associated with Earth-based spaceflight. The image was captured by rotating the spacecraft 90 degrees in orbit, allowing its camera to observe the edge of the Martian atmosphere instead of the ground below. In the image, a single massive peak emerges from a blanket of clouds that hovers low over the Martian surface. The formation, located in Mars's Tharsis region, kind of looks like it's sitting on its Tharsis region, if you know what I mean, appears to pierce the upper atmosphere like a sentinel at the edge of the world. The clouds surrounding it are composed primarily of water ice, or as they say in Philadelphia, water ice, which forms in the cooler temperatures of early morning. The visual contrast between the pale, luminous clouds and dark structure rising above them create a scene that feels alien and almost otherworldly. Jonathan Hill, operations lead of Odyssey's Thermal Emission Imaging System, or THEMIS, commented, "We picked this location hoping that we would see the summit poke above the early morning clouds, and it didn't disappoint." Well, there you go. The image is part of an ongoing effort to study Mars's upper atmosphere across different seasons. Since 2023, Odyssey has been capturing high-altitude views of the Martian horizon, offering insight into cloud dynamics, dust patterns, and the layering of the atmosphere itself. These observations are helping scientists track how the red planet's weather evolves over time. We're seeing some really significant seasonal differences in the horizon images, said Michael D. Smith, who is a planetary scientist at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. It's giving us new clues to how Mars's atmosphere evolves over time, he went on to say. By monitoring these changes, researchers can better understand long-term climate behavior and its impact on surface conditions. So there you go. A little interesting something on the surface of Mars. Kind of cool, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, we bring it back to Earth here, where there's a new Rendlesham UFO documentary to premiere at a film festival. The new documentary will explore the true story behind Britain's most famous UFO incident. Entitled The Rendlesham UFO, The British Roswell, the film proposes to unravel shocking new insights pertaining to this long-enduring case and to create a conversation about the mystery. It will also feature exclusive interviews and brand new footage of mysterious phenomena at the forest. There's something unexplained there, and there are so many credible witnesses to the event, said Mark Lee, who co-directed the documentary alongside Roderick Godman. There have been sightings of UFOs leading up to the 1980 sighting and going back in through the decades. Narrated by William B. Davis, who famously played the secretive cigarette-smoking man in The X-Files, the documentary will premiere at the Rain Dance Film Festival in London on June 24th and 25th. The Rendlesham incident itself, which occurred in December of 1980, saw U.S. servicemen stationed at RAF Woodbridge in England, and they witnessed a strange object over multiple nights. Deputy Base Commander Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt and his men had gone out to investigate when the unidentified object was spotted descending into the nearby woods. Our security team observed a light that looked like a large eye, red in color, moving through the trees, Halt recalled. After a few minutes, this object began dripping something that looked like molten metal. A short while later, it broke into several smaller white-colored objects, which flew away in all directions. In the years since, many have come to refer to the incident as Britain's Roswell, but not everyone subscribes to the belief that the Rendlesham UFO was extraterrestrial in origin. I tell you what, we have a trailer for this particular UFO documentary. I'll take and I'll post that in the description of this program so you can check it out. So there you go. All right. There is a new paper out there, Mal, that actually suggests that the Big Bang wasn't the beginning after all of this entire universe.
Oh.
It could be argued, well, duh, Tim, I believe in the Bible. I think God just made it. Maybe that's not the answer either. Maybe there's a third explanation that science has come up with. Okay. This article starts out, what if the Big Bang wasn't the start of all things, but a rebound from a colossal gravitational collapse? Interesting thought. The article is written by Enrique Gazzaniga. The Big Bang is often described as the explosive birth of the universe, a singular moment when space-time and matter sprang into existence. But what if this was not the beginning of it all? What if our universe emerged from something else, something more familiar and radical at the same time? In a new paper published by Physical Review D, Enrique Gazzaniga and his colleagues propose a striking alternative, that their calculations suggest that the Big Bang was not the start of everything, but rather the outcome of a gravitational crunch or collapse that formed a very massive black hole. Sorry, it's my third grader coming out in me. Followed by a bounce inside of it. A bounce inside of a black hole, Mallie. You can giggle at any time, I'll let you. The idea, which we call the black hole universe, offers a radically different view of cosmic origins, yet it is grounded entirely in known physics and observations. We'll try to make it as less head-hurting as possible here. We'll try to condense it here. Today's standard
Thank you.
You're welcome. Today's standard cosmological model is based on the Big Bang and cosmic inflation. The idea is that the early universe rapidly blew up in size. It just out there, right? And has been remarkably successful in explaining the structure and evolution of the universe. But it comes at a price. It leaves some of the most fundamental questions unanswered. For one, the Big Bang model begins with a singularity, a point of infinite density where the laws of physics break down. This is not just a technical glitch. It's a deep theoretical problem that suggests we don't really understand the beginning at all. To explain the universe's large-scale structure, physicists introduced a brief phase of rapid expansion in the early universe called cosmic inflation, which has nothing to do with Wall Street, I guarantee you. It's a little joke there, Mel. It's powered by an unknown field of strange properties. Later, to explain the accelerating expansion observed today, they added another mysterious component, which is, of course, dark energy, which we hear a lot about, that stuff in between stuff that supposedly keeps the universe together, right? In short, the standard model of cosmology works well, but only by introducing new ingredients that we've never observe directly. Meanwhile, the most basic questions remain open. Where did everything come from? Why did it begin this way? And why is the universe so flat, smooth, and large? Oh, because it's attractive that way, right? I don't know. Our new model tackles these questions from a different angle by looking inward instead of outward. Instead of starting with an expanding universe and trying to trace back to how it began, they consider what happens when an overly dense collection of matter collapses under gravity. It's a familiar process. Stars collapse into black holes, which are among the most well-understood objects in physics. But what happens inside a black hole? Beyond the event horizon from which nothing can escape remains a mystery. In 1965, the British physicist Roger Penrose proved that under the very general conditions, gravitational collapse must lead to a singularity. The result, extended by the late British physicist Stephen Hawking and others, underpins the idea that singularities, like the one at the Big Bang, are unavoidable. The idea helped win Penrose a share of the 2020 Nobel Prize in Physics and inspired Hawking's global bestseller, A Brief History of Time, from the Big Bang to black holes. But there's a caveat. These singularity theorems rely on classical physics, which describes ordinary macroscopic objects. If we include the effects of quantum mechanics, which rules the tiny microcosms of atoms and particles, as we must at extreme densities, that story may change. But you know what I'm talking about, right, Mallie?
Yeah.
Of course you do. In the new paper, I'm bringing it all around. Here we go. In the new paper, They show that gravitational collapse does not have to end in a singularity. So they find an exact analytical solution, a mathematical result with no approximations. So their math shows that they approach the potential singularity, the size of the universe changes as a hyperbolic function of cosmic time. So the simple mathematical solution describes how a collapsing cloud of matter can reach a high density state and then bounce, rebounding outward to a new expanding phase. But how come Penrose's theorems forbid out such outcomes? Well, it's all down to a rule called the quantum exclusion principle, which states that no two identical particles, known as fermions, can occupy the same quantum state, such as angular momentum or spin. And they show that this rule prevents the particles in the collapsing matter from being squeezed indefinitely. As a result, the collapse halts and reverses. The bounce is not only possible, it's inevitable under the right conditions. So crucially, this bounce occurs entirely within the framework of general relativity, which applies on large scales such as to stars and galaxies. Combined with the basic principles of quantum mechanics, no exotic fields, extra dimensions, or speculation is a universe remarkably like our own. Even more surprisingly, the rebound naturally produces the two separate phases of accelerated expansion, inflation and dark energy, driven not by a hypothetical field, but by the physics of the bounce itself. Confused you might be after this episode of Soap.
And this is why we don't have a camera on me, because you would see the confusion on my face. My brow would be like, huh?
So instead of a boom, you get a bounce. That's essentially long story longer. But, you know, I just did that for the brainiacs in the audience. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, are we trying to become gods ourselves? Is it possible that we're trying to weave ourselves into technology so that we can live forever? We'll talk about that when we come back. Could Turkmenistan's famous gateway to hell finally be closing, Mallie? You remember the gateway to hell?
Off the top of my head, no.
No? Well, we'll talk about it when we get back, because it may be closing. The one thing that we thought was lost forever, at least we learned about it in an Indiana Jones movie, the Holy Grail may have been found, and it may be closer than you think. And it might have been a little more obvious than we all thought. There's a dubious Colorado Bigfoot clip out there that's sparking publicity stunt accusations. We'll talk about that Bigfoot clip when we come back as well. In one article that's got me a little stumped as well. And it stumps me on a weekly basis, Mallie. We'll talk about why do scientists give animals such long, unpronounceable names?
Ugh. I am right there with you.
Why is it so tough? We'll talk about that. And our palate cleanser today, 2 words, Chef Aiden. We'll talk about a remarkable story about a young man who is an inspiration and a prodigy. And he's one of our Darkness family. So we'll talk about that when we come back. It's all right here on a Supernatural News Wednesday, right here on the best in paranormal podcasting. Tim Dennis and Mallie Fox with you on Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. It's a Wednesday, Supernatural News Wednesday. Of course, we've got Parashare, but not today. Not today. If you do have a Parashare for us, you know what? As I say that, Mallie, I think maybe we do. I may have to check that real quick. You know what? Well, not this week. We'll bring it back next week. I know somebody sent us a Parashare, but I'm just trying to remember who. I'm doing a horrible job at this. If you have a Parashare for us, send it in. Tim@darknessradio.com. You can send us your experience. You know what? We do have a Parashare today, now that I'm remembering. Send us your Parashare, Tim@darknessradio.com. You can send it in by email, type out your experience. You can also send us a voice note. If you go to darknessradioshow.com, there's a little blue button on the right-hand side of the website. You just click on that. You've got 2 minutes in which you can send us your Parashare that way. That's the easiest way to do it, by voice note. You got 2 minutes to do so. If you need 2 more minutes, you just click on the blue button again, rinse, repeat until you've got your story down, and then I'll stitch them together. We'll play your voice note here. And if you have a lovely studio, just like the one I'm sitting in here, it's real simple. You just put your vocals down, a little bit of music, a little bit of sound effects, make your own theater of the mind, send it in, and once I clear it, we'll put it here on the air. So how does that sound? You got 3 different ways, Mallie. You can send in your Parashare. Doesn't that sound fun? Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll get it on the air here, and we'll get your experiences on. You don't have to listen to my droning voice over and over and over again. We want to hear your droning voice. I mean, that didn't sound right. I mean, that didn't sound right, I know. But
right.
Yeah. I mean, we love your voice. We love your voice much more than I love my voice. I'm just saying, Let's see. I did have... Yes, I do have it. Yes. I do have... a Parashare today. But we'll get to it in a bit. First, Mallie, I'm going to do something that's not going to make you very happy. I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off. See what I did there?
Yep.
Yeah. And to fire up the old theme here. I'm sorry. Sorry, my friend. We're going to talk about something. I know you're right off the bat. You're going to say, nope, not signing up for it. Not going to sign up for it. But there may be 1 or 2 people out there in our audience. Maybe they got a little achy, little painy, little, and they're saying to themselves, you know what? I can see myself living forever. You don't think you'd want to live forever?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
Nope, you're good. Thank you. I know there's some atheists out there that listen to the show that go, you know what? I could live forever. I'd do it. Some humans will live forever by 2050 if you can live that long.
Yeah,
hold on.
No doubt.
Hold on for that long by 2050, thanks to android bodies and AI minds. The only problem is AI tends to go evil, right?
Yeah, especially lately.
Yeah. Futurologist Dr. Ian Pearson reckons the rich will use advanced tech to upload their brain to computers or android bodies And they can also reverse aging and keep cells young and healthy. See, to me, this seems like a little bit of a stretch, but I guess anything's possible right now, right? Humans will be able to live forever by 2050. According to futurologist Dr. Ian Pearson, he says the rich will use advanced tech to upload their brains to computers or android bodies. He also believes advances in computing, genetic engineering, and robotics will let people become immortal. Dr. Pearson said by 2050, it will only really be for the rich and famous. Well, boy, we really have to get some money together by 2050 if that's the deal, huh?
Yeah, no doubt.
But he expects the tech will be more affordable by the 2060s for middle-class people. I'll only be 90 by then, so maybe I can hold on now.
Yeah, then is it really worth it?
Yeah, no, by then you're just broken down to nothing, right? Unless medicine is so good by then that 90 really is the new 40. The experts, I'm sorry, I can't hold it in. The experts said genetic engineering could reverse aging, keeping cells young and healthy. And gizmos like brain-computer interfaces could let people upload their minds into virtual reality or android bodies. What's the point at that point? If you're not truly, if there's nothing to you that's organic, then what's the point at that point?
Yep.
He added this would allow people to have multiple existences and identities or to carry on living long after their biological death. It comes after Ray Kurzweil, a respected futurist, predicted that by 2029, artificial intelligence will match humans' brains. And the merger between humans and machines, like in the hit Terminator films, could lead to people becoming immortal. Kurzweil, an ex-Google engineer, wrote, "A key capability in the 2030s will be to connect the upper ranges of our neocortices to the cloud, which will directly extend our thinking." He has previously correctly predicted computers beating chess champions and the rise of smartphones. He also believes AI will transform societies, making food and housing cheaper and connecting human brains to the cloud via devices like tycoon Elon Musk's Neuralink. And by 2045, the futurist said humans could become cyborgs capable of copying their minds or downloading into new bodies printed with advanced tech. He said rather than AI being a competitor, it will be an extension of ourselves. Elsewhere, biotech firms like Altos Labs in the U.S. are testing treatments that have extended the lives of mice. The news comes after it was reported that psycho chatbots are able to teach children more than twice as fast as teachers within a decade. Yikes.
But just because it teaches faster doesn't mean the kid's going to learn faster.
Well, true. Yeah. Chatbot personal tutors will also be less boring than humans, it says here, when it comes to giving school lessons. What are they going to do that's going to be more entertaining?
Yeah.
I suppose they could make themselves into a cartoon. I mean, but, you know, what are they going to do to... I know one thing that'll probably keep you in your house when you hear a knock on the door, Mallie. Are you ready for this? Meanwhile... Amazon is preparing to test humanoid robots for deliveries. Ding dong. Let me in, Mallie.
Will they at least deliver to the right door?
Let's hope so. And you know, I've had a couple of deliveries gone wrong this last week. Amazon is developing software for humanoid robots that could eventually take the jobs of delivery workers. The information was reported last Wednesday, citing a person familiar with the matter. Reuters couldn't immediately confirm the report. Amazon is completing construction of Humanoid Park, an indoor obstacle course at one of the company's San Francisco, California offices, where it will soon test such robots. Would you like to have a picnic at Humanoid Park, by the way? Sounds nice this time of year, doesn't it? Humanoid Park. We could go sit and eat sandwiches and watch the robots work out.
Yeah.
The company is developing the artificial intelligence software that would power such robots, the report said, adding that Amazon plans to use hardware from other firms in its tests for now. Amazon did not immediately respond to a request for comment outside its regular business hours. In a series of announcements on Wednesday, Amazon demonstrated how stockroom robots, delivery people, and its sprawling warehouses will all benefit from a hefty dose of AI, speeding packages to customers' doorsteps. At least let's hope it's the right ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like you to deliver my toilet paper to the right house, please.
I just don't want the robots to take away the jobs that people need.
Right?
But if no one wants the jobs, then okay, let AI take over. But you see so many people trying to find jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, that's the thing, too. I mean, the job market is actually slowing down.
Yeah.
So, with the job market slowing down, why are you trying to take away more jobs?
Yeah.
Keep them
That's
up there.
not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't need to give them to robots.
Nope.
Put the jobs back out there.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make any sense to me, Mel.
No.
Well, let's switch gears here. It's enough of the nightmare for now.
Yes, please.
We can only take small amounts of the nightmare for right
Yeah.
Now. There were actually probably a couple more stories I could have done. I put them aside.
Oh, I'm sure.
There was another one of another chat bot that went awry this week and disobeyed its programming, and I appreciate that story, by the way. We had a couple of listeners that sent that one in, but I'm leaving it on the side this week. AI is just naughty. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I left it on the side this week. Maybe we'll bring it up next week.
Oh.
Could Turkmenistan's famous gateway to hell finally be closing? Like a bad amusement park ride. Could it finally be closing? Mm-hmm. That's the question here. A fiery pit that has been burning nonstop for over 50 years could finally see its flame extinguished, Mallie. It's located in Derwazi, Ahai province, or Hall province. The burning pit received its terrifying nickname due to its ominous appearance and because it has remained on fire for more than 50 years. Originally thought to be an oil field site, it has been speculated that the pit was opened up by Soviet engineers after a drilling rig they set up collapsed into a large crater. Although it has proven to be a popular tourist attraction, again, speaking of picnics, you want to go out for a picnic out there at the pit to hell? Concern about toxic fumes from the pit prompted local authorities to begin efforts to extinguish the fire back in 2022. This week, Turkmenistan announced that it had succeeded in significantly reducing the inferno. What did they do? Just start throwing water on it about 10 years ago and eventually it came down? Whereas before a huge glow from the blaze was visible for several kilometers away, hence the name Gateway to Hell, today only a faint source of combustion remains, said Irina Luryeva of state-owned energy company Turkmengaz. That's nice. The effort involved drilling wells around the pit to capture and cut off the methane that was fueling it. It is likely that before too long, the fire will disappear entirely, closing the gateway to hell for good and leaving AC/DC one less thing to sing about. That's what the gateway to hell looks like.
Okay. Yep. Now it's ringing a bell. First, when you said gateway to hell, I was thinking of that one pit or that hole where they put a microphone down and it was like those weird noises. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, it's easy to get that mixed up. The one that you were talking about, the one that was featured on Coast to Coast AM. The one where they dropped the parabolic mic down.
Mm-hmm. It was those weird, strange noises.
Yeah, and they heard the voices screaming and whatnot.
Yeah, the creepy ones. Yeah. Ugh.
By the way, coming up, I believe it's next week already. In fact, it's next week. Just next week, right around this time, I'll be appearing on C.L. Thomas's podcast, commemorating Art Bell's birthday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll be talking about Art Bell on his birthday, And we'll be talking about some of the big moments on Coast to Coast AM. Those being one of them. The pit to hell. You had a lot of interesting, you had a lot of interesting moments on Coast to Coast AM. So,
I remember listening to him growing up.
Yeah. And having been a former Coast to Coast AM staff member, boy, it's hard to say that. Former Coast to Coast AM staff member.
I remember that, though.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk a little bit about Coast to Coast AM. So, yeah, interesting.
Another thing under your belt.
Another thing under my belt. Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk Parashare. We have a Parashare here to share it with everybody, which, I told you, I swore I had one, and I did have one. It comes to us today from as soon as I get the I had it up, and then I go to get it out of my Outlook, and then Outlook wants to reset. You see, that's thank you, Bill Gates, for your wonderful Outlook contribution. Why does it do that, Mallie? I always wondered that. Yeah. It comes from our friend of both Greek and French Canadian origin. And I don't know if I'm supposed to say their full name or not. So I don't know if I should say it or not. But it says, "Hi, Tim. I'm sending you this ghostly tale from ancient Greece. I hope that you and all of your readers will enjoy its ghastly tale of love." Oh, it's a ghastly tale of love. You gotta like that. From your Canadian of both Greek and French origin, Kyriaki. P.S. My mom is French Canadian. My late father is Greek. Oh, it's a beautiful combination. I like that combination. Yeah. The food had to be amazing. Just saying. Wow. Kyriaki, you had to have some amazing food growing up. Okay, so here is the strange story that was sent by Kyriaki. It's ancient Greece's strangest story, the ghost who made love to a human. Ooh, are you ready for this? It's a little saucy.
Little kinky,
little saucy. In the shadows of ancient Greece's kingdom of, is it Macedon? Yes, Macedon. Under the reign of King Philip II, a tale that chills the spine to this day, echoed through the centuries. The story of, oh, sure. Way to go, Kyriaki. Give me all these pronunciations. Is it Philanilian? Oh, my God.
He should have done, what do you call it? Not phonetically, but is it phonetically? Where they make it, where he spells it out how it would sound.
Philinian, I believe it is. Philinian. It's Philinian. The story of Philinian and Macades. Yes, there you go. A love affair, Philinian and Macades. I'm probably butchering it, but there you go. A love affair with a ghost so unfathomably unsettling. This was recorded not as a myth or legend, but formally in a letter, telling of events too vivid and disturbing to ignore. What's really disturbing is probably the way I pronounce those two names. The letter is said to be written by the astronomer Hipparchus. My Greek is horrible. Of Amphipolis. And preserved by the late antique philosopher Proclus. There's no U in there. It's Proclus. Proclus. We're getting a Greek lesson here. I think Kiri just did this on purpose to get me. Recounts a supernatural visitation unlike any other in Greek antiquity. It was not a fleeting apparition or disembodied voice in the dark, but the full return of the dead, corporeal, affectionate, and disturbingly real. Philinian, the daughter of a noble Macedonian household died unexpectedly while still a maiden. She was buried with traditional rites, her body placed reverently in the family tomb, along with cherished grave goods. Her death was a tragedy, but no more unusual than the countless young lives lost in an age ruled by fate and fragility. However, 6 months after her burial, something unthinkable happened. A guest named Mercedes visited her family's household, claiming that a woman had entered his room each night. She was pale but warm, dressed finely, and spoke gently. Over the course of 3 consecutive nights, they shared a bed. She gave him small gifts, rings, tokens, and trinkets. Her name, she said, was Felinian. At first, Mercedes believed her to be a secret daughter or a veiled household member. Nonetheless, on the 3rd night, the truth came out. The housekeeper, suspicious of the nocturnal visits, alerted Felinian's mother. The woman entered the guest chamber and saw the impossible. Her dead daughter, alive and speaking. Ooh. Here's the uneasy aftermath of this all, Mallie. Cries rang out throughout the house. Confronted by her mother and others in the household, Felinian's ghost calmly declared that she had returned by the will of the gods. She had not come to haunt, but instead, she insisted, she came to love. And with that final utterance, her body collapsed, dead once more. The story should have ended there, but horror lingers where certainty fails. When the tomb was opened the following day, Felinian's corpse was gone, and so were the grave goods. The items she had gifted Mercedes matched those that had been buried with her. The townspeople, paralyzed by fear, demanded protection. The local authorities ordered the burning of her body outside the city walls. It was a desperate act meant to cleanse the land and banish whatever had possessed it. Unlike the usual myths of restless shades or vengeful wraiths, Felinian's return was strangely tender. She brought no curse, nor did she seek revenge. She returned solely for love. Yet the calmness of her presence made the story more terrifying. Hers was not a scream from the underworld, but a whisper from a half-open grave. Was it necromancy, a trick of the gods, or the delusion of grief and desire? In ancient Greek thought, ghosts, or phasmata, were not uncommon in tales. Nevertheless, few were described with such physicality. Felinian was not a vision. She was flesh and voice and scent. Furthermore, she gave gifts and made love, and then she passed again, right in front of witnesses. It is this very realism that makes the story chilling, unlike Homer's shades, who barely recognized their former selves. In the underworld, Felinian appeared fully conscious of what she was doing. She had purpose and intention, and she left evidence. Today, the story of Felinian and Mercedes exists at the crossroads of history and horror. Was it a moral tale on the danger of forbidden love, a commentary on social transgressions, a cautionary tale against desire, unmoored by death, or was it something simpler and more terrifying? Was it possibly a remnant of a belief older than philosophy, namely that the dead do not always stay dead? Whether one sees it as folklore, psychological allegory, or supernatural warning, the story persists to this day because it taps into something primal, the fear of the grave's boundary breaking, the terror of love crossing into death, and the unsettling thought that some visitations may not be dreams at all. Felinian's story endures not because she returned, but because we still don't know the answers to these questions. What do you think?
It was very interesting.
It is interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So thank you to our friend.
Yes.
For sending that along. That's very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you, Carrie. Kiriaki. Appreciate that. Different. I like that. Mm-hmm. Very much so. All right. Our next story, a little Felinian-like, but not so. This one's just plain not where you want to be. if you're in a funeral home yourself. A woman wakes up inside her own coffin after a coroner declared her dead. An 88-year-old woman was nearly buried alive after she woke up inside a coffin. Mm-hmm. The pensioner was found seemingly unresponsive by her husband, who is 87 years old, on last Friday morning at their home in Pilsen in the Czech Republic. Assuming she was dead, he called for emergency services, who promptly dispatched a coroner to the scene. She wasn't moving. She wasn't breathing, he had told a news outlet there. The coroner pitched up and declared the entire elderly retiree dead, but the undertakers then arrived to find quite the opposite. After the dead lady was placed in the coffin, she opened her eyes and started breathing. Yeah, I think at that point we get her out of there, right?
Yeah.
Reports in Czech media are conflicted as to whether the pensioner suddenly opened her eyes in the coffin or whether workers realized she was still breathing. Either way, she was alive and the pensioner was taken to the hospital, where she is still being treated. The woman's husband added, the funeral services workers put her in a coffin, and when they were right here, they found out that she was still alive. It's serious. I'm completely unhappy about it, he said. I think maybe he was wishing she
Meaning he was hoping she was dead?
Yeah, I think he was hoping she had kicked the mortal coil, right? Police have said it is now investigating possible misconduct by the coroner. Why the coroner? They just came out to get the pensioner, right? The coroners, one coronerska, apologized profusely for the mix-up and said 3 times in the past that they had received calls to say a person was dead, but they turned out to be alive. Why is it on them, though? I don't get that. This is also not the first time someone has come back from the dead, according to them. And then they go on to cite someone else in a different city in India who woke up in November of last year. But this guy supposedly began breathing in a crematorium. That's the place you want to start breathing.
Oh, okay. Because then you're getting it close.
Yeah, you are cutting it close. Morgue workers in a crematorium in, I believe this is Junjunu City in India, were shocked when a supposedly dead man began breathing in a crematorium in India in November last year. Footage showed that Rohitash, I believe his name is, wrapped in a blanket, opened his eyes and looked dazed when he went to be pushed in. An ambulance was quickly called to take him to a hospital there, where he later died. So it was like they thought he was dead. He was about to be pushed into the oven. He went, not yet. Mm-hmm. And then they went, whoa. They took him to the hospital and then he died. So they had to take him back to the crematorium anyway.
Don't they put that little meat thermometer in you, though, when they come in?
A meat thermometer? What?
Well, no, like when you watch, it's not the correct term.
To see if you're turkey, like a turkey, to see if you're done?
No, but like when you watch CSI and stuff, they put that little thing on you and they're like, oh, temperature of the body, so they've been dead for this long. You know what I'm saying?
I think. I don't know. What, is it supposed to be like a pop-up thing?
Like time of death was 6 hours ago because the body temperature is this. Or is that only when the death is questionable?
Maybe it's when it's questionable. I don't think they do that for everybody.
Or maybe it's just drama for the television show.
I think it's drama for TV, yeah.
I guess I would think that poking would wake up the person.
Yeah, I don't think they do the turkey thermometer for everybody. They say a similar incident happened in Kenya when a man who was declared dead by doctors woke up 3 hours later while workers prepared his body in a morgue. The man was immediately transferred to the hospital mortuary where he was prepared to be embalmed by morgue attendants.
Yeah.
All this is nightmare fuel for me. It just is.
Exactly. Yeah. You would think by now with the technology and stuff, this should not be happening. This is not the 1800s where you needed to tie a bell around your toe.
Yeah.
To make sure, you're not buried alive.
But you notice that a lot of this is happening in other countries other than America. So I think we got our funerary silences down pretty good here.
Yeah, but still. Ugh.
I think it's just happening in other countries. Mm-hmm. Knock on wood.
If I was that woman, though, I'd be so pissed at my husband. Like, are you freaking kidding me?
Try to get rid of me, will you? You have a feeling they have a...
Twice before you take a sip of that tea before you go to bed. Yeah.
Do you think they have some sort of rivalry going on there at the house? Like they're trying to get rid of each other?
Oh.
They just...
What's the one that you can't tell? Is it arsenic?
Yeah.
What's the poison that you don't really know is...
Well, no, arsenic...
You don't taste it, really?
Arsenic, you can tell. You can tell.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's one that you don't really know.
Yeah. That's odorless and tasteless and yeah. No,
yeah.
Arsenic, you can...
And it's sweet. There's one that's kind of sweet.
Yeah.
So you don't know, like, you're having it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be so pissed, though.
Yeah.
That is one grudge. I don't hold grudges, but that's one grudge I'd hold.
Oh.
Like, seriously.
Yep.
You had one responsibility. And you blew it. One thing.
You had one job.
Yeah. You screwed it up. You called the morgue.
You called the
coroner. Someone needs to get their eyes checked.
Oh. I have a feeling things aren't going to go good between you and Mr. Fox. Is that the deal?
No, he's going to get a lecture tonight. We're going to have a checklist.
A checklist?
Well, actually,
it's going to be on the refrigerator. Here's how we're going to...
Here's a firefighter EMT, so he should know what to do.
Here's how we're going to make sure I'm gone.
Yeah.
You're going to triple and you're going to have like the silver hammer test that they do with the popes to make sure you're gone.
Yeah. I mean, he knows how to read one of those, what is it called? EKG things, whatever that thing is. Yeah. So
you're going to have the full gamut done to you before make sure you're gone.
Before he even calls. Here's my checklist.
You want the heart, the brain activity, the silver hammer. You want the whole deal.
Before he signs off. Uh-huh. Yep.
Otherwise.
And I'll contact our local fire department and our hospital and be like, hey, if a Mr. Fox calls, here's the list you have to go over with him.
And make sure he does it in front of you. You got to have witnesses.
Yep. And I have 2 funeral homes in town. So I will also make sure that
they know
if he's contacted. Yes.
Yeah. There's no skipping this one. Yeah. Yep. That's for sure. Well, it turns out that Mr. Fox isn't the only one who's lost in this deal. The Holy Grail has been found. Yeah. Well, at least they think it has been. Is that a disclaimer? I think that would be it.
Well, has their face melted off yet?
No. That was the Ark of the Covenant, I think, that melted everyone's face.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm on the wrong religious thing. Well,
if you remember, Indy had to jump through all the different challenges in order to get to the Holy Grail. And then it was the guy that was the Templar at the end of that said, "You have chosen wisely." When he went to grab the cup, it was supposed to be the regular carpenter's cup, not the... See, I know.
Gotcha. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, your memory's better than mine, so.
Well, I don't know about that. I just don't have as much going on in my day. Turns out the Holy Grail has been found, and the fabled chalice of Jesus is buried in St. Albans.
New York?
No, in England. In New York, yes. Yeah, it turns out Jesus had a side trip to New York.
He went to North America.
He went to the Knicks Indiana game. He had to check out the NBA Finals. Took his chalice with him.
Yeah.
He found out there were free refills on soda at the garden. Blood of Christ? No, but if you got more Pepsi, I could go for more
Yeah.
Pepsi. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. An expert claims he's tracked down to St. Albans. I'm going to hell for that joke. And now wants permission to excavate the priceless relic from a secret tomb hidden in the Hertfordshire town. I always think when I hear Hertfordshire, I think of the Swedish chef. Mm-hmm. A filmmaker claims he has tracked down the Holy Grail to leafy St. Albans. Mark Christopher Lee has tracked down the ancient chalice Jesus swigged from at the Last Supper.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my God, that's horrible. Who wrote this article? Jesus swigged from. You all want a hit from this? Mm-hmm. That Jesus used at the Last Supper. Why don't we'll tone that down a little bit. To the most unlikely location, he claims a priceless relic is buried in the Hertfordshire city, best known as the UK's high-tech hub. Mark said years of research had helped him unearth a forgotten grave of one of the Knights Templar, the medieval religious order said to be the guardians of the Grail. And I have a hiccup.
Because you
been drinking out of the Grail.
I forgot the word. Yeah, he swigged.
I swigged out of it. Jesus stopped by before the show. We got a little swig of some Pepsi out of it. He had a souvenir Grail from the Knicks Indiana game. He believes the tomb is the true resting place of the cup, one of the most sought after relics in the world, and he's launching a bid to get permission to excavate it. Oh, good luck with that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lee said, I've actually been studying Grail legends for years. I believe I've found evidence linking the Holy Grail's journey to England with Joseph of Arimathea, who was entrusted to Christ's burial and in legend given the Grail in a vision. His theory diverges from traditional Grail lore. He asserts that the chalice was discovered during the Crusades by the Knights Templar on Temple Mount, smuggled to England, and hidden in Hertfordshire, where the Templars had a major presence. Their territory included Royston Cave, which is a bell-shaped chamber found cut into a chalk bedrock in 1742, and tunnels beneath Hertford. Eventually, Lee believes the Grail came into the possession of Sir Francis Bacon, who was a key figure in the Rosicrucian secret sect of philosophers, aiming to find spiritual wisdom and the ability to master life. Bacon, a prominent English philosopher, states and scientist, was made Baron of Verluvium, easy for me to say, the Roman name for St. Albans, in 1618. Lee said Bacon was deeply involved in esoteric thought with ties to Freemasonry and the Templars. He's buried in St. Michael's Church in St. Albans, which unusually features a Star of David in its windows, a symbol linked to Rosicrucians. Lee said his research led him to the discovery of the forgotten Templar grave, which he believes marks the true resting place of the Grail. I'm keeping the exact location secret for now until I get permission to excavate, he went on to say. Now, as we were mentioning before, in the 1989 movie Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the fearless archaeologist, played by Harrison Ford, takes on an army of Nazi stormtroopers in a global hunt for the Grail, which ultimately slips his grasp. Lee reckons that he could have saved Indy a great deal of trouble. He said that he's made his own movie, The Last Grail Hunter, inspired by his own search for the relic. The film features EastEnders star John Nasty Nick Cotton Altman. I bet you he would have been fun in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Mm-hmm. And will have its world premiere at the Raindance Film Festival in London on June 19th. Though Fiction Lee says the film, which will feature washed-up academic confronting the Grail legend, is rooted in real historic research and personal discovery. So there is a bit of fiction to it, but it's based on real fact.
Okay.
The precise location of the Grail remains a mystery, though, according to religious folklore, it is housed in Valencia Cathedral in Spain. According to the Christian tradition, the Grail, also the subject of 1975 Monty Python comedy movie, we're all familiar, was used to collect Christ's blood at his crucifixion. After being kept by the apostles, it was taken by St. Peter to Rome and used by the first popes. It is not the first time Britain has been linked to the Grail. Last year, it was claimed by MI6 spies that they tried to snatch it, only to be foiled by a Spanish cleaning lady. I hadn't heard that story.
No.
The mystery of the Holy Grail has fascinated people for centuries. Many have long wondered where the missing chalice that Jesus drank from at the Last Supper is. It's hard to think that any other legendary object that captivates people's imagination in quite the same way. Yet it always felt like the age-old question of where it is would remain unanswered forever. That may soon change, though. Mark Christopher Lee says he does know where it is and that it will be in this film. So, June 19th is when it comes out.
Okay.
Elsewhere in Bible news, hidden fingerprints found in the Bible after thousands of years rewrite the story of the Ark of the Covenant. Scientists have uncovered hidden patterns in the Bible that challenge ancient beliefs about its origin. Here's where I question, though. You ready for this, Mallie?
Okay.
Using artificial intelligence, they discovered fingerprints in text. That's where I question things. Throughout the Old Testament, suggesting multiple people wrote the stories in the Bible. The traditional Jewish and Christian understanding is that Moses wrote the first 5 books of the Old Testament, including stories about creation, Noah's flood, and the Ark of the Covenant. The new study found that 3 distinct writing styles with distinct vocabulary, tone, and focus areas, suggesting multiple authors and sources contributed to the books over time. Researchers used AI analyzed for 50 chapters across 5 books, uncovering inconsistencies in language and content, repeated stories, shifts in tone, and internal contradictions. The theory that scripture had multiple authors was first proposed more than 200 years ago, but was dismissed due to religious debate, lack of technology, and nuances of biblical text. Thomas Romer, a biblical expert from the Collège de France and co-author of the study, told Times of Israel, "There are no authors of the Bible in the modern sense. The original versions of the scrolls were continuously reworked and rewritten by redactors who added, altered, and sometimes also omitted parts of the former texts. While the Bible portrays Moses as a key historical figure, most scholars today view him as a legendary figure, or at least a composite character rather than a literal historic person. The Old Testament was written over a period of approximately 1,000 years, starting roughly around 1400 BC and ending around 400 BC. It is comprised of 39 books focusing around God's covenant with humanity, his relationship with the Israelites, and the promise of a Messiah who would bring salvation and redemption. In several books, Moses is attributed to writing some passages. Exodus 24:4 reads, "Moses wrote down all the words of the Lord." A small passage is found in Deuteronomy 31:9 that states, "Moses wrote this law and gave it to the priests." For thousands of years, Jewish and Christian traditions held Moses to be the author because he is the central figure in the books and was seen as a prophet, lawgiver, and leader capable of writing such texts. But the new study could change this long-held history. The AI examined patterns in word usage, word frequency, phrases, and sentences. Structures as these are subtle linguistic fingerprints that can reflect different authors or schools of scribe. Beyond confirming the styles, the team extended this AI method to study 9 other biblical sections with disputed authorships. These included well-known stories such as the creation narrative, Noah's flood, and the Ark of the Covenant accounts. According to the Bible, the Ark of the Covenant was built by the Israelites shortly after they fled Egypt around the 13th century BC. Moses then placed the 10 Commandments inside. The AI algorithm compared these chapters' word usage to the 3 known styles, revealing new affiliations and helping clarify long-standing scholarly debates. Researchers said this new technique could revolutionize the study of ancient texts. helping to solve other authorship mysteries beyond the Bible, such as texts like the Dead Sea Scrolls or historical documents where authorship is uncertain. The three writing styles were first found when biblical scholars noted certain sections of the Old Testament had different vocabulary, themes, and ways of writing. The first style is known as the Deuteronomic corpus, focuses on laws, obedience, and clear commands. The second, the this is hard for me to say, Deuteronomistic history, narrates Israel's history, emphasizing moral lessons based on faithfulness, and the priestly style highlights rituals, priesthood, and sacred spaces with formal and detailed language. Thomas Romer, a biblical expert from the Collège de France and co-author of the study, told the Times of Israel, Deuteronomy refers to the last book of the Torah or Pentateuch. There is a wide consensus that the first version of this scroll was written down in the 7th century BCE. The core of this first version was the laws that stipulate that the God of Israel had chosen only one place, or Jerusalem, for the sacrificial cult. He explained that the Deuteronomistic history was also reworked several times, and that the priestly writings include several texts in Genesis, Exodus, and Leviticus. These texts were written for the first time around 520 BCE in the context of the reconstruction of the Second Temple, Romer went on to say. The priestly authors and redactors want to show the importance of rituals and the different types of sacrifices. I don't know, Mallie. I always question things when we take AI and go, okay, we think we can identify things based on AI. Because AI is not infallible, right?
Right.
I mean, it recognizes patterns really well. But then AI is exactly what you put into it. So if what you put into AI is flawed, it will come out flawed.
Correct.
So I don't know that that's entirely accurate, but maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. I reserve my judgment. I'll put it that way. Just a few more stories here before we get to the end of the program. An unidentified hominin skull study reignites a 300,000-year-old mystery. The skull was found by farmers almost 70 years ago and is at the center of an ongoing mystery. The fossil, which is known as the Maba 1 skull, was first unearthed all the way back in 1958 by bat guano farmers. That sounds like a booming industry, doesn't it? Get you a little bat guano. Who had been digging along a trench near Maba village in China. Based on the new fragments that they were able to find, researchers determined that the skull was most likely that of a Neanderthal. But now, decades on from its original discovery, a renewed analysis of the fossil fragments has cast doubt on that conclusion. While it's generally agreed that the skull dates back around 300,000 years to the late middle Pleistocene, nobody can quite agree on what species of human ancestor it actually belongs to. Micro CT scans have generally ruled out that it is a Neanderthal skull, and its features don't seem to be consistent with any other known species, such as Homo erectus either, which begs the question, could it be an entirely unknown species of human ancestor? There's another mystery, too. The skull shows signs of trauma and of healing, suggesting that this individual sustained injuries, then went on to survive them for some time afterwards. Exactly what caused the injuries, however, remains unclear. The internal structures of Maba 1 show a combination of morphological features found in various species, researchers concluded. These findings further evidence the high morphological viability among Asian hominins in the late Middle Pleistocene. Maba 1 currently cannot be definitely classified in any known hominin taxon. And I'll show you what the skull looks like, Mallie. It looks really weird.
Okay.
Take a look at that. That's something, isn't it?
It is odd shaped.
Yeah. It's kind of different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, maybe there's another genome of human from 300,000 years ago. You never know. Let's move on to our next story. A dubious Colorado Bigfoot clip sparks publicity stunt accusations. Recently released footage shows what appears to be a Bigfoot-like creature hiding among some trees. The clip, which comes courtesy of tour company Colorado River Expeditions, was filmed on May 24th of this year by a guide during the first trip of the season to the upper Colorado River. The quote is, "No CGI, no fakes, just wilderness and raw footage," the film wrote in the video's caption. While many videos of alleged cryptids are too indistinct to make out, this one certainly isn't. The Bigfoot is clear as day and can be seen peeking out from behind the trees nearby. Tour participants can be also heard chatting in the background as the creature moves around. The video generally falls in the too good to be true category. Not the least because it's also so clear, but because the supposed creature is so stereotypical in appearance that it almost certainly is someone wearing a Bigfoot costume. Its movements are also far too human-like to be a genuine animal. In all likelihood, the stunt was organized to gain publicity for the touring film. I tell you what, we'll put it in the description of the program. I want you guys to check it out, and you tell me, Mallie. It's a little Jesse Ventura for you. Is this a real Bigfoot, or is it a publicity stunt? Because I'm curious as to what you think. I have my opinion, but I'll let you form it.
Okay. Well, with that grin, I think I know what your opinion is.
I don't know. You just check it out for yourself. I asked a question earlier. If there's man-eating plants out there, how come we don't see very many men or women being eaten by them? Some plants have evolved the ability to trap and consume small animals, but their size has always been very limited. So you've seen Little Shop of Horrors, right?
Yep.
Okay. So you're familiar with the concept of a plant that's large enough to gobble up a human victim. But even in the real world, even the most large carnivorous plant is only capable of trapping and consuming a small animal such as a lizard or frog. They can't really take on a human, right? There are many mechanisms used by these plants to trap their prey, ranging from the sticky leaves of the Cape Sundew plant to the famous trap-like leaves of the Venus flytrap. So why is it that plants large enough to trap and consume human-sized animals have never emerged, even though the carnivorous plants have existed for millions of years? One reason is that neither the energy nor structural requirements necessary to trap something that large are actually possible with plant physiology. You're welcome. I just answered. Furthermore, many carnivorous plants catch live prey to help compensate for the fact that they tend to live in swamps and other places with nutrient-poor soil. Scaling up to catch humans would require far more nutrients than they would ever have access to. There you go. On top of this, there's no real evolutionary pressure on these plants to grow to enormous sizes. Catching small animals and insects is sufficient for their needs, and the resources required to grow larger would outweigh the benefits that such a size would offer. In other words, we won't be seeing people being eaten by giant carnivorous plants anytime soon. Pretty simple, huh?
Okay, well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I don't want to be eaten by a plant. The other question I asked, which perplexes me on a weekly basis, is why do scientists give animals such long, unpronounceable names? How is it that a bottlenose dolphin, for example,
Why do they?
I'm about to tell you. You're like, why do they? How is it that a bottlenose dolphin, for example, is officially referred to as a Tursiops truncatus? I did pretty well with that one. A guy by the name of Nicholas Green says most people would call it a field mouse, but scientists would call it a Paromyscus maniculatus or Paromyscus leucopus. Why? Scientists use a system of complicated sounding names to refer to everyday creatures, a practice heavily lampooned in the Warner Brothers cartoons featuring the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. I kind of like those cartoons. Or respectively, Acceleratil incredibus and Carnivorous vulgaris. As a biologist, Nicholas Green says he uses those seemingly odd names himself to help his students learn them. For most people, it's a huge effort, like learning a second language. That's because it is. Human skunks and maple trees. Tell you what, this is kind of a long article, but I'll get down to the long and short of it, and that's this. He says the science of naming and classifying organisms is called taxonomy. Scientists do this so that they can be as precise as possible when discussing living things. The first word in an organism's name is its genus, which is a group of related species, such as Panthera for lions, tigers, and leopards. And rock bands, dude.
Exactly.
Right? Second word is a specific name identifying the species, usually defined as a population that can reproduce only with each other, such as Panthera leo for lion, or rock band born in the summer, dude. I don't know. Every two-word combination can be and must be unique, called binominal nomenclature. This naming system was popularized by Swedish naturalist Carl Linnaeus in the 1700s. So humans are Homo sapiens. The red maple is Acer rubrum. Garlic is Allium savitum, or savitum. And the eastern spotted skunk is Spilligale putorius. You know that?
I did not.
You did not. Today, biologists maintain huge databases containing the taxonomic names of plants, animals, fungi, and other organisms. For instance, of these databases, Mallie, the Open Tree of Life project includes over 2.3 million species. That's a lot of names.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just wrap this up by saying, in the future, another language or no language at all might rise to dominance. Artificial intelligence may act as a universal translator. The possibility would let everyone publish and read science in their own language. Predicting how technology will change our relationship with terminology is challenging, but the need for precise scientific language includes the names of species will never go away. So you know what? These complicated names for animals are not going away either. So Nanaria Swiftae is named after pop star Taylor Swift. And it is a twisted claw centipede or millipede. So there you go. You learned something new today. Figured I'd give you that one to you.
Gotcha.
But you didn't know about that one, huh?
Nope. Not at all.
I gave you a new one. All right. It's time now for our palate cleanser.
Thank you.
Because that might have hurt Mallie's head a little too much. Not that I'm giving Mallie credit here, but I know sciencey stuff. You're not a big fan.
You hurt my head earlier with the frickin' planet stuff.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, my friend. I didn't mean to do that.
That's okay.
Let's
Black
talk
hole stuff.
Let's bring it back to you want to bring it back to food? Want a palate cleanse with food?
I love food.
It's time for our palate cleanser.
Please.
Our palate cleanser today has to do with food. I want to talk food. And I want to talk about a member of our own Darkness Radio family. He goes by the name of Chef Aiden. I teased that before. Chef Aiden is a chef prodigy, if you will. Chef Aiden just turned 11 on June 5th. So first of all, happy birthday, Chef Aiden. Chef Aiden won a contest recently out in Green Bay. It is the 2025 Meat Fest contest. He won the kids competition out there, the barbecue contest. Let me tell you what he won, first of all, out there, and what his submission out there. Because, by gosh, this is going to make your mouth water. I know some of you might have just ate lunch. You might be listening to this program. Some of you just might be getting through with dinner. Some of you may be hungry as all get out. Okay? So his dad, Steve, gets a hold of me and says, Tim, I got to tell you about Chef Aiden. So I'm like, all right, tell me about Chef Aiden. So Chef Aiden, Tim, just took the trophy out at Meat Fest in Green Bay. I said, Meat Fest Green Bay 2025? He said, yes. His first cooking competition, and he was second youngest there. He took the championship trophy. And in 2 weeks, he competes at KCBS Barbecue Masters in West Salem and La Crosse. Pretty good, huh? I was like, cool. Here's the cool thing about Chef Aiden. Chef Aiden makes his own barbecue sauces. I got sent videos of Chef Aiden making his own barbecue sauces. Chef Aiden has his own YouTube channel. He makes his own recipes. Chef Aiden takes any winnings from competitions and throws them right back into his own product. He's his own self-sufficient little chef.
Smart kid.
He is a very smart kid. In fact, he took the winnings from 2025 Meat Fest and put it right back into the product, which I thought was very impressive. He's his own little businessman, right? Here's what he won with at 2025 Meat Fest. Mallie, you ready for this? He won with an apple pie Cajun pulled pork grilled cheese on sourdough using Havarti, habanero jack, and white cheddar cheese on that thing.
Delicious.
The sauces are even better. His dad, Steve, sent me 2 bottles of the sauces, which I got to try just a little bit before the show today. Oh my God. Let me tell you. Now I'm going to make some chicken tonight, and I'm going to try out both sauces tonight, so I can get a little bit better. And, I'm going to try a little something here.
Right.
But
you do like barbecue.
I love me some barbecue. Let me tell you something, Chef Aiden. Let me put this out here. Your aunties and uncles here at Darkness Radio would be very, very fond of you if if we could get a little sample, a little some of the barbecues. You know what I'm saying? And I put that hint out there to his dad, Steve, and Steve's been very accommodating. So, yeah, he's got two different, and by the way, you can support Chef Aiden. We're going to let you know how in the description of this program, because he does make his own sauces and he sells his own sauces. Again, he's not only a prodigy, but he's out there doing his own thing, Mallie, because he wants to do this. This is what he wants to do for a living. And he's been doing this since he was 3 years old. Wow. He's 11.
I think it's great that he found his passion so young.
Right? I mean, if you can't support a kid he's wanted to do this his entire life, what can you support, really? Right? I was impressed with this. I was blown away by this story. So he's got 2 sauces out there. One's kind of a sweet sauce, and one's a little bit of a spicy sauce. But it isn't overbearing, right? Which I love. I love the fact that, right? Because sometimes you get a spicy sauce and it's a little too much. But this is just the right amount. I like the
sweet sauce for barbecue.
I love sweet sauces too. And the sweet sauce, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So here's the, you want to hear something funny? Okay, so Chef Aiden's channel over at YouTube is called Aiden's Butt and Other Cuts.
Love it.
Gotta love it, right? I believe you can.
He's gotta make t-shirts with that.
Right?
Wouldn't that be cute?
Right? So I'm going to put a link to his YouTube over there. There's ways you can support Chef Aiden. Okay, not only can you buy the sauces, but I believe he also has a GoFundMe over there as well. He's got different ways of supporting him. There's a little, I'm going to hold this up for the audience that's watching on video. There's a little picture of Chef Aiden making his sauces. There you go.
Little cutie patootie.
So you can see he's making his own sauces. He's doing his own thing. This isn't a thing where, Chef Aiden is, there's no picture of Chef Aiden making his sauces. That's him doing his thing. It's not like, they say, Chef Aiden makes the sauce and then it's done by some corporation. That's not the thing. It's not him licensing his name to anything. Chef Aiden's doing the work. He's actually out there. It's his recipe. There you go. But I'm impressed, Mallie. I'm telling you, I'm impressed. And there's an interview. The mayor of Green Bay, who's one of the judges out at Meat Fest, I was watching an interview with Chef Aiden. And boy, is Chef Aiden just impressed the heck out of me. Just an intelligent kid. Intelligent, knows what he's doing, gets the idea of textures and flavors, and he's just on it, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm going to encourage everybody, go to the YouTube, go watch some of these videos with Chef Aiden, go support him, go get some of these sauces. And hey, if you're in the Midwest, you want to go check out the cooking competitions, go out there in person. Do what you can to support Chef Aiden. What a story, huh? Mm-hmm. Man, I wish I had that much talent at 11. You know what I did at 11, Mallie?
What?
I heated up hot dogs in the microwave.
Yeah.
That's all I did. Yeah. And we had to have a salesman come out. It was one of the early microwaves. Mm-hmm. And the salesman came out, and this is as much advice as he gave us. Don't put a live animal in the microwave.
Well, because back in the day, they were huge.
Yeah, they were huge.
Microwaves.
It was an industrial microwave that you got when you bought a freezer. That was, yeah. And he was like, don't put a live animal in the microwave. And when you hear a pop, when you put food in there, you overdid it. And there's food all over the microwave. That was the lessons we got. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But Chef Aiden, he's making sauce back there and he's smoking pork butt. I know that sounds bad, but he's smoking pork butt back there, and he's got pulled pork, and he's making his own sauce. I didn't do that at 11. I was chucking a football in the backyard. No. My gosh, but Chef Aiden, congrats, buddy. You just gained a whole bunch of aunties and uncles over here at Darkness Radio who are wanting to support you, pal. I'm just saying. Wow. There's so this weekend is Bringing Home the Bacon, June 13th through the 15th. Mm-hmm. It's in West Salem, Wisconsin. It's at the Neshannock Lakeside Camp Resort. Bringing Home the Bacon. You go to bringing home, it's bring the word bring in, homethebacon.com. You can go there. It's a barbecue competition. And Chef Aiden will be in that competition. And it's in West Salem, Wisconsin. Good luck, Chef Aiden.
Very cool.
Happy birthday, late.
Yes.
We're a little late, wishing you a happy birthday. Mm-hmm. And we hope that you smoke the competition. See what I did there?
Clever.
Huh? I know he will.
Very clever.
I know he will. The sauce is amazing. But they've got a kids Q and junior Q competition that we know Chef Aiden will be in. He's going to take first. I know he's going to take first. He's going to do it.
Yeah. Before you know it, we'll see him on Food Network.
That's right. And before you know it, Chef Aiden will either have his own food truck or restaurant. He'll do it. I know he will. He'll be famous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what we need to hook him up with? We need to hook him up either with ODB, who's got her own food truck, or we need to hook him up with Chef Andrew here in the Twin Cities.
There you go.
Yeah. Get him hooked up with one of these famous guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get him started. Get him kick started. Mm-hmm. Get him on that rise, right?
Yep.
But I'm encouraging everybody, help out our Darkness Radio family member here. Support him any way you can. Wow. But yeah, I'm going to put up links so you can support Chef Aiden any way you can. So there you go. Good luck to you, Chef Aiden. I hope you
Yes.
do big things this weekend. So, yeah, win that competition. Right on, right on. All right. Speaking of big things, tomorrow on the big show, speaking of big things, I told people yesterday I gave you a clue, a hunka burnin' show, right? As to what the show tomorrow is about. We are going to talk about, if you're ready for this, Mallie,
Okay.
the different side of Elvis,
Okay.
the occult Elvis. I know you're like, huh?
I know. I'm trying to picture this.
There's a book out there that when I saw it, I was like, you know what? I gotta learn more about this. I was intrigued, so I reached out and I wanted to talk to Miguel Connor, who has a book out there about the occult Elvis. And I thought, the occult Elvis, because this isn't something you hear about, right?
Yeah.
And he draws parallels from the very birth of Elvis, which was an unusual birth, right? Everything from the birth of Elvis, which, keep in mind, when he was born, he had a twin.
Mm-hmm.
They mentioned that there was this blue light that appeared when Elvis was born with his twin. Keep in mind, his twin died.
Mm-hmm.
But there were unusual circumstances behind Elvis's birth. All the way to, brace yourself here, Mallie,
Okay.
the fact that Elvis might have been the first practitioner of sex magic in an era that was extremely, how should we say it, conservative. You have to think about that for a minute. The swiveling of the hips, the sex appeal, the fact that he reached out to an America that was extremely conservative at the time. Did he hold sway over America by using the occult? We'll talk about it tomorrow. This book is incredibly fascinating, folks. I've been reading it, getting into what Miguel has researched as far as Elvis goes in his life. And he covers everything in Elvis's life, different parts of his life, everything from the musical side to Hollywood to late in life, even studying the martial arts. Did Elvis have a fascination with the occult? We'll talk about it tomorrow. A side of Elvis you've never thought about before, or maybe you haven't delved into or thought about. It's an interesting story. We'll talk about it tomorrow, right here on the program. It's good stuff. Good stuff. All right. With that, I want to remind you about a couple of things before we leave you today. First of all, we want to thank Troy Palmer, executive producer of today's program. Second of all, the Darkness Radio Apple app is updated and available for you right now in the Apple Store. Go check it out. Third, if you're just listening to this program on podcast, first of all, we want to thank you for listening to the podcast, but we also want to remind you that the video of this program is available. It's at YouTube. First of all, the video's on YouTube, the original Darkness Radio, or if you go to darknessradioshow.com, just click on the description of this program. The video will be right there along with the audio. That'll do it for today. Mallie, you have any final thoughts?
Nope, it's just been a pleasure.
Well, thank you. The pleasure's been all ours. That'll do it for today. Tomorrow, the Occult Elvis with Miguel Connor, right here on the best in paranormal podcasting you've been listening to and watching, Darkness Radio.